Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls from all over the world, my name is Brandon. I'm with the Rags to Riches community. In fact, I am the CEO, I'm the CFO, I'm the See Everything O, and the Supreme Ayatollah. You are here right now because you have nothing better to do. Yup, K in the house. Be aware of the monkeypox, is what he says. Godfather J6, what's up, fam? Yup, K says, have you looked into the monkeypox yet? Rags, yes, I've been seeing that pop up on headlines. And as usual, I'm very, very skeptical. Hex Huddle says, my favorite furu. Well, who's number two? Who's your number two favorite furu? Mudhog, just because you're paranoid doesn't mean that they are not out to get you. What does this say? Don't bathe till mainnet. Negative, yup, K. Negative, Ghost Rider. Bearded Saint in the house. HP Morgan in the house. Hello, family. Balliot Brand. Matty Crypto. Inviting Freedom. I'm only here for the intro music to get your butt on out because that intro music's over. But if you stick around for just a little bit longer, we can shame you publicly, and then you can listen to the outro music, which just happens to be the same as the intro music. So let's get into this, folks. We got, we're gonna keep this light today. I know you guys have a lot of things to do here. I want to also say that I'm happy to be going on stream with Crypto Stylist, and I believe RG3 at 6 p.m. on Crypto Stylist's channel. So we can take this party over there because you'd probably be with me anyway, right? Not listening to a word I say, just like you guys always do. So we'll check it out. So we're going to talk about, we'll go over the charts. We'll talk about what's happening in the world. Sometimes we get laser focused on what's happening where we're at right now, but we'll get into what's happening in the world here. Guys, you know how we do it. Let's get into it.
Do not like or comment on any of my videos, and please do not subscribe.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are here right now. We're going to take a look at this nice little hex chart here. Let's just see where we're at. Let's see what's happening here. All right, so, we are still, if we zoom out here, we are stuck in this channel, right? We're still seeing this channel this bottom of this channel provide the primary amount of support. Now, the interesting thing here is, we see this long wick down. And again, just like we did back here, we made that long wick and then we put our line straight on over. This is our Furu TA here, as Hex Hodl would like to say. And sometimes when we see those long wicks down, we create our line, price action goes underneath, but then pops back up. So this was a really significant sell-off. So maybe we see something similar to this, right? Maybe we see price, and just in the short term, maybe we see price do something like this and then hop on up, especially if mainnet is happening anywhere in June or July. And in fact, we might want to do something a little bit different there. We might want to say, go something like this, depending on when mainnet launches for Pulse Chain. So, until that time period, until we kind of get out of this channel, we're sideways. We got some pretty big macroeconomic pressures bearing down on top of us. And also, I think we're all in a holding pattern. I think it's fair to say that we're all in a holding pattern. Let's check and see what chat has to say here about all of this. I like Andrew Dice Clay, kind of humor. Hey, Hex family, love the blues getter. Crypto Compassion says, what's up, Maddie and Rags? Yup, K, only 2 minutes late today. Nice. Spirit Falcon made it. Thank you for your work, brother. Love the strings on this intro. That lick resolving into the 5 chord, man. Yeah, that's a nice little resolution there. Absolutely. What's up? Rags, hello from sunny. You say sunny Miami. I like to say sunny South Florida. That countdown gives me anxiety. What? Aaron Hungate says, this intro screams a navy blue blazer and wide brimmed hat. I like it, man. I could dig it. Something I'd be hearing down in New Orleans. One of those hot summer nights. That forehead is huge. It represents at least 50% of my entire cranium Outstanding. Polynesian. Pulse again has nothing better to do. You again. Go Hokie. Go Hokies. Absolutely. 100%. Let's see if they can pull it out of their butts this year. Craziness is everywhere. Save us, Rags. I cannot save you. However, you can save yourself. And that's what it's all about here. It's all about saving yourself. Bug says, how you feeling, man? Rags, how you feel? You know what? I'm feeling good. I'm feeling good. I got a little bit tired this afternoon. I was laying on the couch, was kind of getting ready for this thing, like in my head, mentally preparing, looking some stuff up. But hey, we're good, man. We showed up. That's what we do. We show up even sometimes when we don't want to. We just don't have the energy or the motivation. We do it anyway. Because you know what? That's what makes us men and women. Hi. Matty Crypto. Hey, Yup K, good to see you, man. MZ, hello to everyone. Let's go. What's cracking, bro? Crypto Luck Box. That's one hell of a crazy profile picture, man. What's going on there? Is that like a poker chip? You a poker player? What's up? I've been playing some poker lately. Smash the likes. Do not listen to HP Morgan. He's giving you bad advice. Dislike when you stick around. I have very low expectations. Good job. That wasn't a retarded person. That was a seal, not a retarded person. All you freaking psychos out there, don't get all crazy. Hexkin Tattooer, hello, everybody. Oh, gosh. Chad D to the power of 7. Dogs, Hokies, you're absolutely correct, unfortunately. Maybe that'll change one day. Maybe. A boy can dream, can he? Sup, Rag? CJ Dez. Cheers from Montreal. Top Alpha Spitting Ginger Ninja. Jesus Christos, man. That's some crazy stuff, man. All right. We're going to get into this. We're going to talk about some things, right? I want to kind of tell you, I want to talk to you about things that you're not going to hear on TV. And that's what it's all about, right? We talk about things that you're not typically going to hear. And it's important that you hear them because when it starts hitting the fan and when the media is finally forced to actually report the truth, you're not going to be blindsided, right? And what I'm doing right here isn't anything different than what any of you guys could do, but I'm doing it for you because I got the time to do it right now. So that's the only difference. I got the time to do it. I know you'd do it for me if we could. All right, here we go. The international situation is getting pretty funky, ladies and gentlemen, right? We talk about all the bad things happening here. We talk about the inflation. We talk about the potential food shortages later in the year. But we're focused on us. We're focused on the Western world. And there's a lot of countries out there who are already in the throes of a horrible, horrible economic depression. Like the worst economic depression for some countries in 70 years. And it doesn't get reported that much, right? So I think at this point, it's fair to say that there is a global economic meltdown occurring right now that you haven't heard about. Much, much worse in other countries. And the question of the day is, we're going to go over an instance or two of what's happening across the world. The question becomes, is this a roadmap for America's future? Now, I know that statement's a little bit crazy, right? It's a little bit broad. It's like I took a big old fat brush and boom, just put it straight across the canvas. But I don't really think that it's going to be as easy, obviously, for America to fall into these same types of traps. And the reason I don't think it's going to be like that is because we do have a lot of natural resources. Now, whether or not our government gatekeeps these natural resources to save us from global warming or not, who knows? We'll see. But let's talk about Sri Lanka. You guys know what it's an island in South Asia. There's about 22 million people. Sri Lanka right now, like very recently, went broke. So what does that mean? What do you mean went broke? Before COVID, Sri Lanka had about 2 billion in foreign reserves. So when you think about foreign reserves are it's kind of like your savings account for your country. So they had 2 billion in foreign reserves before COVID. Their foreign reserves shrunk from 2 billion down to 24 million. So they have to run a whole country on 24 million. The problem with them, they don't have many natural resources. So they import food, they import fuel, and they import medicine. And they rely on imports for the most part for all of these things. The problem now is the fact that they do not have any money to pay for it. They have totally run out of gasoline and diesel fuel in their country. Totally run out. Gone. Like there's nothing hiding here. There's just nothing left. So now what happens when a country turns upside down and flips upside down like this? You have massive social unrest, massive social upheaval. This is what happens, to the point where the president of that country, or the prime minister, I believe he's called there, has resigned. Can you imagine being the person that has to step up to the plate in this type of crisis? It's crazy. Worst crisis since the 1940s for Sri Lanka. So the new guy comes up, and what does the new guy say? The new guy says, we're going to have to print money. We've ran out of money completely. We're going to have to print money to pay government workers. That's step one, because they're trying to find ways to make sure that the government stays viable and they can provide at least, I guess, some services. Is this the right thing to do? I don't know. I don't know their options at this point. Like, printing money doesn't ever sound like the right thing to do. And certainly it's not a long-term solution to their problem, because it's just going to get worse and worse and worse. So they're going to, first and foremost, they're going to be printing money. The prime minister, the new guy, says people can expect power outages for 15 hours a day. 15 hours a day. They're only going to turn power on for about, 15, 5, 9 hours a day or less. That's a problem, right? That's an issue. Public transportation is destroyed, non-existent. They're prioritizing food and fuel over everything else. His primary concern is that a massive famine happens and his country starves to death. Completely starves to death. It's a bad situation. Now you take Sri Lanka and you're going to multiply that. Let's see here. Sri Lanka, you can multiply that by 15 or 20. And those are the amount of countries right now that are on the brink of falling in the same situation that Sri Lanka is in. So why is this happening to Sri Lanka? Why are they getting hit so bad? What's the problem here? Well, you got to understand this. Across the world right now, they're having to pay very, very high food, fuel, and medicine prices because of the inflation. The inflation that's happening in just about every single government across the world, at least in the Western world, because we have this socialist distributive economic policy, centralized, Fed, IMF, whatever the case may be. So it's causing global prices to go crazy. On top of that, we're waging a war, Ukraine and Russia. That's a big problem. And Russia wants to strangle the world and really teach the West a lesson. That's what they're doing right now. And this is not a short-term thing. This is long-term thinking. The problems that we're going to run into, these are on 6-month time frames, right? So you can be out, 4 or 6 month time frames. That's 24 months, 2 years of this stuff, or more, or longer. This could be a longer term thing. Eventually, you're going to have to deal with the policies that you've created and the policies that you put into place to try to make people feel good in the short term, but sacrificing your long-term viability. And that's what the governments are doing. And it really seems like we lack any type of leadership in the Western world. We're voting some really crazy people in there that don't care about the country. They care about themselves. They care about the power. And I think some of them really think they do care about the country, but their alliance and their allegiance lies with the party that they're voted into. And they just get assimilated when they get to Capitol Hill, or they get to the state Congress, legislature, etc. Kind of scary here. Food supplies are being shored up. India has a population like 1.3, 1.5 billion people, right? 1.3, 1.5 billion people. They know that things are going to get kind of hairy. So they banned all wheat exports. They got to keep that wheat for themselves. They got to be able to feed their people. Also, Ukraine. Ukraine's fighting Russia, and it doesn't seem like that's going to stop anytime soon. Ukraine's banning exports for wheat. Ukraine, I think they're the number one exporter of wheat in the world. Russia banned wheat exports. Kosovo, Serbia, Kazakhstan. They banned wheat exports, rice exports, which is going to cause more and more and more food price inflation. It's not a good situation. International situation is getting bad. It's getting really bad. And they're looking at these banks to be able to bail them out. Now, what's the problem? What's the problem with that? In these situations where you don't take care of your own household and you don't plan for these types of things, you don't plan for bad things that happen in the world, rainy day funds. That applies to countries too. If you don't plan for these sorts of things, you enter into a master slave relationship with one of these central banks. It's bad, man. It's really, really bad. Right? They cut all these backdoor deals. They're going to be giving Sri Lanka $600 million short-term money. India felt bad, so India sent like a couple tankers full of some diesel fuel over to Sri Lanka, and that's going to be more more money owed in interest payments and debts, and it spirals out of control, spirals out of big control. So look at this. Let's talk about diesel fuel. I'm going to talk to my European friends that are here in chat. What's the thing about diesel fuel? Diesel fuel has a higher energy density, and that's why it's primarily used for larger vehicles. Okay. In Europe, all the governments in Europe kind of agreed that 20% of the passenger vehicles have been pushed into diesel. Like that's what they wanted, right? For climate issues, whatever the case may be. So governments of Europe pushed Europeans into purchasing vehicles that run on diesel. What's the problem? The problem is they didn't upgrade their refineries to be able to keep up with that demand that they were forcing down people's throats. That's the problem. So why is that an issue? They were having to purchase diesel fuel from Russia. And what just happened with Russia? Russia cut Europe off. So to give you an understanding of the complexity of the situation, who's expected to bail out Russia? Well, the United States is. United States has the potential to provide fossil fuels to the world. So right now, we're going to be going through possible diesel rationing on the East Coast here in the next month to 90 days because we're having to export so much diesel to Europe. And our administration, the Biden administration, they do not want to tap into the earth. They don't want to allow companies to drill to ease this problem. And you know why? They say it's because of climate change. And if we do that, we're all going to die. Well, there's going to be a whole lot of different reasons why people might die here in the future if they don't get their freaking act together or we can't get them out of the damn office because it's not making sense. Makes no sense at all. They're going to be good. They're going to have protection. They're going to have Secret Service details. They're going to have vehicles. They're going to have airplanes. What about everybody else? So about 2-3 months ago, we started talking about, hey guys, get some food just in case it gets weird. Get some water just in case it gets weird. Just make sure you're taken care of. Go to the grocery store, maybe buy some non-perishables, a little bit extra non-perishables, stash them away, right? Normally these things, the thing that I worry the most is the fact that I know that our media and our government doesn't like to tell us the truth because for whatever reason, they don't want to spook us. They don't want to panic us, or they don't want to lose political office, whatever the case may be. So we got to kind of use our own brains, kind of see what's going on in the world. And we got to kind of we got to say, hey, we got to take some action here just in case things get weird. And things can get weird. Things got weird in the 70s. Stagflation, right? So let's check here. Let's check and see what chat has to say to this point. All right. Top Alpha, Spitting Ginger Ninja, Beam D. Here we go. Outstanding, outstanding. You guys are chatting it up today. Jen Hex has had a crappy day. Was hoping to get a good live stream. It would lift my spirits, but I guess rags to riches will have to do. There ain't no lifting your spirits here, buddy. And you took off Craig Wadding. You took off Craig Wadding off of your screen name. Did you think I wouldn't notice? Bugs. Yo, yo, yo. Hex Huddle. Yeah, just Hex Huddle. Trash talking fool. Mobius. The Mysteries Productions. Hey, everybody. Hope all is good. Evo. No TV since 2008. That's smart. Finbear says everyone needs to turn their TV off right now and go plant some potatoes. Father Time giving you fatherly wise advice. Is that wise advice, Finbear? What do you mean by potatoes? I got more questions than answers here. Never heard of Sri Lanka. Yeah, Srilanka. Sri Lanka. X on air. My name is Sri Lanka. How you know I am broke? All right. Always double check your chats. Make sure they show. Don't worry about Saudi princes. They only pretend to be moral. Johnny Walker and Russian ladies. Wink, wink. Huh. I'm hearing we're about to have unintentional diesel shortage next month. It's coming. It's coming because we're having to provide a lot of diesel to Europe. The Biden administration says we're going to release 1 million barrels of oil per day until October. So what did we do the math on that? May 30, 60, 90, 20. Yeah. So we'll multiply that. So what, like 150 million barrels? $150 million barrels will decrease the cost of gasoline by approximately 10 cents. If they were all released on the market at the same time in about 2 weeks, the net result would be like a 10 to 12 cent decrease. A million barrels released on the market is not enough. It is nothing. It's virtue signaling to their side so they could say, hey, we're doing something about this. But it seems like there's a whole lot of negotiations. There's a whole lot of backdoor closed deals that our administration has with the rest of the world that says, hey, we're not going to participate in fossil fuels anymore. And apparently at the expense of its citizens. When things get weird, a lot of these issues could be solved. Russia will turn off the gas to the EU when the winter comes. Sorry, they deserve it. Play stupid games, win stupid prizes. Victor Creed saw Hex at 10.3% this morning. Never thought I'd be able to get it this cheap again. It's crazy for me. Hex has dropped 80%, and I have never not been in profit with Hex. I'm not saying that to brag. I'm just saying that's like, what a cool thing. What a cool thing. You guys survive another bear market or a bull run, you're going to be good to go. Supply chains. When they print money, they are stealing your savings. Yes, they are. Slowly at first, and then it definitely ramps up. I need to do a expensive oil change of the tuna. All right, so here we go. So we talked about that, right? We talked about the diesel fuel part. Diesel fuel, higher energy density, which is why Europe wanted to go to diesel fuel. They mandated that 20% of passenger vehicles need to run on diesel fuel. They didn't upgrade their refineries, which means they couldn't keep up the demand. So they started importing diesel fuel from Russia. Russia cuts them off because of what's happening. The United States starts exporting diesel fuel to Europe to keep up with their demand, which now is going to cause most likely diesel rationing issues on the East Coast of the United States here within the next 30 to 90 days. And we are not drilling. We've got no plans to drill. How does that make sense, folks? In fact, this is what's crazy too. As soon as the Biden administration banned any type of imports from Russia, because they didn't want to give Russia any type of economic viability because of the war that's happening. As soon as that happened, there's about 11 major banks in Europe that essentially signed a pact that says they would not be issuing any money to any companies that intended on, creating any type of company that's going to drill for oil. And that's because they're trying to keep pace with their little goal to have net zero carbon emissions by 2030 or 2050, which is never going to happen. It's not going to happen. So you actually have these European banks that are also putting a stranglehold on any type of increased production of fossil fuels, of oil, which is going to be a really big problem in Europe when winter comes. I'd like to see how that plays out for them. So they can do all this. They can do this when times are good and they can get away with it. But when times are bad, that's when things are going to get kind of weird, I think. I think the people are going to finally, like, people are waking up left and right. It's so nice to see people waking up to what's happening. And these folks played their cards. They played their cards. We see their cards. Now it's our move. So what are we going to do? Well, we have to scan, we have to analyze every single contingency. We got to pick the best course of action. So I like this political pressure that's being put on these tyrannical authoritarians across the Western world right now. And I'm not apologetic about using those words. I'll tell you that. This is an issue. The average price of diesel is actually $5.50 per gallon right now across the states. And diesel rationing, like we said, could be happening in America because we're exporting. Here's the other issue too. Things are getting a little bit more weird. You guys heard that Finland just filed or applied to be a part of NATO. Well, Russia does not like that. The reason Russia doesn't like that is because Finland has I think it shares about an 800 or 850 mile border with Russia. So Russia now is using that threatening, aggressive talk towards Finland. And Russia does not want any encroachment. They don't want missile batteries, etc. They don't want any defensive lines or offensive lines on Finland's border. But Finland's looking at this and is like, hey, like, they just marched into Ukraine like it was nothing. Is Finland going to be able to push back against Russia? Probably not. What's going to stop Russia from just continuing to do this? Don't know. What do we think, chat? Getting kind of weird out here. Hex yield keeps on printing, is what he says. I'm glad we just got Biden in charge. He's all over it. No more malarkey. 26 countries source at least half of their wheat imports from Russia and Ukraine, and low supplies and high prices will hit these countries fast, many of which are already food insecure. The neat thing about what you guys are doing right now, you're listening to this information, and you're able to know about this before any of your neighbors, before anybody else. So you can start taking action. Yesterday, we talked about what to do in a recession. We talked about getting your finances right. We talked about paying down those high interest cards, those non-fixed cards, because those interest rates shoot way up too. The Federal Reserve rate, the Fed rate, which is the rate that the Fed sets that allows banks to borrow money from each other, that increases and it trickles all the way down to the consumer. Because those major banks, they have to pass that cost down to the mid-level banks, to the smaller banks, to the community banks, and then eventually to the people. So we talked about a lot of different things. The worst thing in the world, I think, in my opinion, and again, I barely graduated high school, so you probably shouldn't listen to anything I say here. I've seen a lot of advice online about this upcoming recession and going $100,000 into debt to go back to school. I don't think that's too smart, folks. Remember that whole thing that I said about master and slave relationship? Well, it's all about money these days. There are ways to do things. If you're a young man or young woman, you can go serve in the military. You can get your education paid for. You can do this. You can do that. If you want to get into healthcare, I mean, you can probably literally go up to some of these major healthcare organizations in your town or region and be like, hey, I'll work for you. They'll give you a sign-on bonus right now. I'm seeing that all over the place. And then they'll even pay for your school in exchange for a year or two of your time. Get into some type of HVAC. Get into some type of apprenticeship. Go work with the person. These guys, they need help. These small business owners are going to need help too. They've been needing help because people are getting so much money to just sit at home. They're just paid to sit at home in the States. I don't know how it is in these other countries, man. But like all this stuff that they're just telling you, oh, it doesn't exist. Don't look around, you can't really say it doesn't exist anymore, ladies and gentlemen. So we are 32 minutes in, and here's going to be the cool thing about this. 32 minutes in, it's 5:48. I'm gonna hop on over to Crypto Stylist's stream here in just a second. And what I'm gonna do, actually, what I can do, go to YouTube, Crypto Stylist, and we'll kind of migrate this little party that way. What do you guys think about that? Now, I gotta find this damn thing. Well, I'll find it in a second. So we'll migrate it over there. So chat, here's the bottom line. Just keep your head on a swivel. I would say this in terms of your investments, etc. Right now, it's really easy to jump ship and freak out. If you have the means to do so, if you feel secure, right now is the best time to be dollar cost averaging and putting money into your investments. Because, this is a really bad time for the markets, but a really, really good time for you. The purchases that you're making now will yield tons and tons of fruit. It might not be in a year, might not be in 2 years, might not be in 3 or 4 years. But if you just stick to the plan when nobody else is, you're going to come out on top. Don't make any stupid decisions. Don't make any rash decisions. It's crazy. All not what it seems to be. Why would Russia go into Ukraine by foot and tanks? If they really wanted to, they could just steamroll it with Air Force like they did in Chechen War. My opinion, it's I think it has a lot to do with they want to burn Ukraine to the ground to make it a situation where NATO would think twice about picking up Ukraine because they'd have to spend billions and billions and billions of dollars rebuilding it. So I think it's just scorched earth. They're just trying to raze everything down. RAZE. Just finished Richest Man in Babylon. Highly recommend. Absolutely, man. Good for you. That's one of the most important books that you can read. John J says, sounds good as long as crypto is who we can see on screen. I like that. All right. Let me go in here. Yeah. Okay. See, the thing that I don't like about this is that I can't see where this is posted. Well, in about 10 minutes, we're going to be able to go there. I want you guys to hop on over there, show her some support. RG3 is going to be in the house. 1211 channel says, are we Team Ukraine or Team Russia? Asking for a friend. What are you? What's your opinion on that? What do you think? Are we Team Ukraine or you Team Russia? I don't really agree with Russia invading a sovereign country. Do you? I'm not sure if that really gets us anywhere. I don't think it's a good idea. I think it was dumb. Don't like it. But it was strategic and tactical. Burn it to the ground. This nonsense, complete opposite. They want to preserve. You think Russia wants to preserve? If they wanted to preserve, why would they be tearing it down right now? Why would they be bombing it? Why would they be killing civilians and destroying some of the infrastructure? Doesn't make sense. All right. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls from all over the world, my name is Brandon. We're 35 minutes in. I am not Team Russia. And see me over here at Crypto Heartbeat. No, not Crypto Heartbeat. Crypto Stylist's stream here in about 8 minutes. You guys have a good day.